Oh, and we're gonna live stream the thing on YouTube right now, but we're not sharing the link with our Slack yet. The idea is that we're just live streaming it on YouTube so that it's easier to put up on YouTube later. We'll send out the link to all of our team pitches later. But you guys should be able to watch it if you want. Share it with whoever you like. All right, we are now live. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, well then we can just go ahead and get started. Hello everyone, if you're watching this video, thank you so much for joining us for our fifth and final team pitch of this week. My name is Ansh, I'm one of your organizers, joined here by Shristi, another organizer, and today we are hearing from the team Jarvis 2, which is Sunny Lee, Sahil Jain, Matthew de Guzman, and Conrad Lee. As usual, if you have any questions about their project or just wanna know more, feel free to message an organizer or just message them directly through Slack. And without further ado, you guys go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so our product is Jarvis 2. And if you haven't seen like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or any of the movies in there, there's a character inside of it called Tony Stark. And he's heavily into technology. And he builds this like artificial intelligence called Jarvis. And the specific component that we're trying to create throughout SummerHacks is specifically like the gesture tracking stuff that he does. So he has like a whole bunch of screens set up with different windows on like various high-tech things that he's working on. And basically what he does is that he uses his hand and like maneuvers through different windows, selects different options, and all of that. So what we're doing is we are tracking the gestures that a person is going to be doing. And then we are also building like a dashboard full of different types of widgets. So maybe like a calendar widget so you can see the tasks that you have to do on a certain day, a Spotify widget, which you can like change the music, Gmail widget, which you can scroll through your email and all of that. So I personally worked on the gesture tracking part. And to do that, I have this like Leap Motion like camera, and it uses like VR hand tracking technology. And let me share my screen. This particular part came with the product itself, but it looks really cool, so I thought I'd share it. Are you able to see it? Kind of.
Just a sec, it's loading.
Okay.
I think your internet blows.
We have the same internet.
But you're up in your room, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, we can see it.
Okay. So essentially, it does a pretty good job in like tracking like your various coordinates. It has a little bit of a problem with like specific fingers. So if like curl into a fist, it's a little bit finicky. So that was something I had to consider while doing the model. And as for the model itself, the model does pretty well, but when I actually do like predictions, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, there are a little bit of issues, which I'm still trying to resolve right now, but like I can like swipe up, swipe side to side, etc. So to do this, I used, to actually make the mapping between different gestures and like just like a numeric value denoting that gesture. I used PyTorch, which is a Python library, and I used a series of LSTMs in a recurrent neural network. So like the baseline, like the theory behind it is that you take information at a certain time, you parse that into your neural network, and it'll create some output. And then at the next time step, you take in that information and put into another LSTM. And then there's like a context vector that you bring in as well. And then that combination somehow results over a long period of time into some sort of gesture. And so I was working on the model a couple of days ago, and let me share my screen again. So over here, I'll just begin talking, and if it pops up, you can just like follow along. But over here on the right, here the 12 gestures that we were trying to do. And then note that 0 just means that there was no gesture that it detected. And then here's a confusion matrix that we made. which like sorted based off of true values and predicted values. And you can see for the majority of the values, they do lie along this diagonal with a couple of extra ones on none, and then a little bit here and there for similar ones. A particular problem that we had was between, we had like a peace sign to exit the screen, and then we also had like a selecting two finger close together one. In the model, it does pretty well, but when it gets to the actual Leapmotion code, it sometimes doesn't detect the two fingers close together. So we were thinking, and this is a pretty recent problem, so we were thinking about just like dropping that and maybe like move some gestures around. And all of the data associated with this was generated, like I had to manually generate it because this is like a very niche piece of technology. So I couldn't really find any data sets online, especially for the certain gestures that I was trying to do.
Hey,
yeah,
really quickly, could you or one of your team members, for people who may not be familiar with like, a confusion matrix, could you explain what these numbers mean here?
Sure. So I believe on the right side, this is what the predicted, or like the columns, I guess, are what the model predicts, and at the bottom, this is what the true value is. So you can see like if it's along the diagonal, that means that like the model predicted the number 2, the second gesture, and it was actually the second gesture. So the more values that you have along the diagonal means that your model is doing better. And then aside from that, if it's like elsewhere, that means it's incorrectly predicting it. So like, let's say I was going to do like gesture 7 was the actual one, and the model predicted 3. So that's incorrect. So it wouldn't be along the diagonal. But yeah. I guess a couple of challenges that I had. The Leapmotion in Python software was in Python 2.7, and the PyTorch module doesn't have a Python 2 version for Windows. So what I had to do was do Windows subsystem for Linux and then host a Flask server that would run in Python 3.7 and then make requests with the data over to the server and then just do it that way. And yeah. Oh, one last thing. So I also talked, the features that I use, originally I had a lot of problem with figuring out what features to use, but I was able to find this one research paper by IEEE. And they basically used the angles between the various joints, as well as the angles between the different fingers themselves. And I was able to calculate all of those using, I think, NumPy and pandas. And then there was also the angle between like the wrist itself. I don't know if it's there as well. But I used those features along with like the distances between the various fingers to the thumb, because we had like a little pinching gesture, which now we realize like the Leapmotion can't really resolve that. So it just like kind of gets stuck and can't really recognize it. But those are problems that we're having right now. And hopefully we can resolve this soon. But in terms of the model, that's about it. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Conrad, who worked a little bit more on the GUI stuff.
Okay, so while Sahil worked on the, getting the gestures, recognizing the gestures, the rest of us were working on the dashboard itself, getting functionality for, as he mentioned, like a Gmail widget, a Spotify widget. And the main thing we used for that, we wanted to, because several of us are new to programming, and we wanted to keep everything in the same, try to keep everything in the same language as possible. So we used a Python library called PySide2 that basically was a wrapper for a C++ GUI library called Qt. And so I'm just going to share my screen right now and just show you just generally what the dashboard and what one of the widgets looks like. So wait, can you see this? Okay. So right now, so this is kind of like the background of our product. And obviously some of these widgets are, semi-functional right now. Some of them, there are various levels of functionality. This one right now is currently the state of our Spotify widget. And basically, what we aim to do is the center image is like the song icon. When you're on Spotify, there's like different little icons for each song, and then this is the title, that's the name of the artist. This is a volume bar that hasn't been implemented yet, but I'm just going to demonstrate for a second like what functionality we do have right now. So let me first see if I can. So it does require your Spotify, since it uses Spotify, it does require you have like a Spotify account and have Spotify running in the background. So what you can see, so the way we have implemented this is that the widget to add songs to a queue, it makes it talks with the Spotify API, and it creates a temporary playlist called queue for you, which will just hold the song in the queue. So in this search bar, you can query like which songs you want. So this first song is Dark Horse. So like let's say I'm looking for Dark Horse, right? And currently it's just going to return to me like the top search result, the most popular song, because songs can have the same names, but currently we're going to have it return the most popular one. So it's going to do that, and then it will just like, as you can tell, it just added it to the playlist right there. And let's say, okay, I can also add like mask off. I can add. I'm like a really big Katy Perry fan again. I just add another Katy Perry song, right? So I just add 3 songs, and then if you click the play button, oh wait, I need to run this again. Wait, sorry. Now, okay, well, okay, I know you can't hear it right now, but it is playing. And so you can tell it's playing right there. And then if you click the next button, it'll go to the next one. You can click the next one again, it'll go to the next one, and then you can click it back and it'll go back like that. So basically that's what we have right now. Currently this volume button doesn't do anything. And also you can tell like when we're skipping, like it doesn't change the icon and the title right now, but that's something we're hoping to do in the future. And this step on the left, we hope to make that like, lyrics that just kind of are synchronized with the song itself. So I'm going to hand it off to Matthew now, who has another widget there to show.
So in addition to working for the backend on the Spotify module, I have been working on this Gmail module, both the front end and back end. And let me share my screen for that real quick. There, can you see that? So pretty much the functionality of it, I'm currently able to create emails and send them to people. I'm also able to see labels of emails. I can query for a certain email, like based on what you want to find. And I can also see a lot of my preview emails based on the recent ones. Like I can see this Reddit post right here, all of these things. To implement this, I used an API that was made by Gmail. Also, I want to create this icon, but use Blender to make a 3D model of this that hopefully can be animated. Some problems I had doing this was connecting the front end with the back end, since as a relatively new programmer, I'm not that familiar with front end and how it really works. So this has been a long and grueling journey, but also at the same time fun of just learning front end and how how to display backend and front end together. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I will hand this off to Sunny now.
So before I start, I'm also going to share screen. So as Sahil and Conrad briefly mentioned, our project is currently split into two main components, the leap motion gesture tracking and also this user interface, which it's going to eventually interact with. So my main role has also been to work on this interface and creating widgets for that. And I've currently been working on 3 separate widgets, one coronavirus tracker, a weather widget, and a calendar app. So I guess I'll just like go through those one by one. So on the screen right now is like a really basic representation of the front end of our coronavirus tracker and map. So this widget I'm actually splitting with Conrad, so he'll be working on the front end, and I promise the front end already looks like a lot better than this like representation right now. And I'm working on the back end, and basically what that means is just I'm parsing through a bunch of data by Johns Hopkins to get the numbers that we want for our maps and our charts. And so this is kind of what it looks like. And in the console, you can see like the basic form of like the data that we've been extracting for our charts and graphs. So my next widget is the calendar widget. So I just started this about 2 days ago. And right now it doesn't really have any functionality beyond size responsiveness to resizing and also being able to click on the dates. I'm hoping to integrate events into this using maybe the Google API for calendars. But right now it's just like at its very beginning stages. And then finally, this is our weather app. I just completed this a week or 2 ago. And so this is kind of just a demo of what it looks like right now. So basically you just put in a city, you click the search, and the background will change depending on whether it's day or night in the city. We also drew icons for our app to visually represent the weather, and also because we didn't want to run into any like copyright issues. And you'll also see that it prints out like some text about like basic weather descriptions in that given city. So this app is like fully functional technically right now. And I guess the next steps for this app are just updating the user interface and like the graphics to make it more visually cohesive with the other widgets once we have them all. So that's just kind of an overview of what I've been working on thus far.
Okay, and you know, Sunny mentioned that I also worked on that coronavirus. I was doing the front end for it, so I'm just going to show that briefly. It's not connected, it has no functionalities, but I'm just going to show that right now. Okay. So as you can see, it kind of looks like what Sunny was talking about. On the left side, there's going to be a map, and we hope to kind of just like annotate this map with like how bad the coronavirus is like affecting various regions of the world. And then on the right, it's a graph which you can, you know, change to see different statistics about the coronavirus. For example, like this is just right now, this is just like pseudo values, they're not real, you know, cases per country. And then we hope to also put like a mortality rate in there. And then like these like blank spots are just like placeholders for now, like this one at the top. We're thinking of either putting the latest, you know, COVID-19 news or some facts about it or some like symptoms about it. And then these 2 white boxes are supposed to be buttons that control the map and the graphs respectively. And I just want to emphasize again, like, even though all the widgets are like separated right now, in the future, we hope to like put them all together in one dashboard and then ideally be able to like control it with Sahil's hand tracking, leap motion gesture thing. Yeah. So that's kind of, yeah, that's it.
All right, well, let me start by saying that is very impressive, guys. You definitely made more progress than Saul was telling me. I think what I like most about you guys' project is definitely how you've chosen to divide up the work into your various like specializations, and it seems like you guys have made a lot more progress that way. I do have a few quick questions. So once this is complete, and my understanding is you guys will have a bunch of widgets in some sort of application that you can choose a widget with Sal's gesture tracking, and then you can also use the widget with Sal's gesture tracking. So first, when it comes to typing, right? How are you doing that? Is that going to be voice activated?
So for right now, right now it's just gonna be like keyboard. One like really big stretch goal that we had was to add some sort of like speech or like speech. So like
Yeah.
even like Tony Stark stuff, like Jarvis was like talking to him and stuff.
Right.
So that was like a stretch goal. But ultimately, like I'm not sure if we'll get to it. But yeah, right now we're just like using the keyboard or the text.
Okay. Yeah, I think speech to text would actually be decently easy. Having a chatbot like sort of conversation where he's talking back to you would be pretty hard.
Yeah.
But maybe speech to text would be a good one. That way you could have like a totally hands-free experience. And then the second question that I had was that when I'm not familiar with this like Python C++ library that you're using to design your front end, right? So when it's deployed, how is it used? Do you put it in a website, or does somebody have to go and download it onto their own machine, or how does it work?
It has to be downloaded as a Python library. So that was like another thing I didn't use. Like, JavaScript is obviously like a pretty popular front end language.
Right.
And one of the reasons I used that like Python library was also that it runs natively on your machine. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so you'd have to download it, and then you have to have Python in order to run it.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean that is a little slight bar, like a little barrier to entry, but it's not that bad, I don't think. Most developers probably already have it anyway. What, Tristy?
Most people end up having like Python on their computers.
Yeah. So that's pretty fine. Cool, very cool. I'm very excited to see how it turns out. I think that's all the questions that I have. Tristy, you got anything?
Okay, yeah. So my question was also about the typing one, but Sahil already kind of explained it. The question I had was like, so you have all of these like integrated right now. When you have the hand gesture, is the hand gesture supposed to like be able to like click each of the widgets?
So like we have different gestures that we hope to do different things. So like let me just pull up the list. So we have like pinching, zooming, like a pinching motion to like zoom in or out. We have like one finger. We would think it would like act as like a mouse or something. And then if we get like super advanced, like if we have like a module and like over here and another module over here, like if we wanted to like swap the locations, but like didn't want to like hard code that, we had like gestures to like pick it up like with a grabbing motion, like drag it here and then drop it or something like that. And then essentially to answer your question, like the different gestures denote like different things, and some of them are just like, oh, this is a mouse, or oh, this is like selecting something, or oh, this is like swiping to like increase the volume or decrease the volume, or to like go to the next song or something. Yeah.
That's really cool, honestly. Okay, cool. And like this is like not so much on your project per se, but this was like something I just like was curious about. What are like each of your like favorite things about like working about the project? Like it could just be like one thing or something.
I think I just like the meetings. I think they're like a healthy balance between like productivity and having fun, right?
Yeah, the meetings are fun. Like not only have we been like working together, we also like sometimes relax together. Like we have like a Minecraft server that we go on occasionally, like every week. So yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Indeed. Well, great job, Jarvis 2 team. I am really hyped to see what you guys present at the end. Thank you everybody for coming and watching this team pitch. Hope to see you all at trivia night, and have a great 4th of July weekend.